obviously I was just gutted because I felt like I genuinely thought in the space of, I mean, however many years it'd been, 10, 12 years of savings, 10 years and then it was just gone. So my name's Tom, I'm 28 and I've recently just quit my job as of last Friday, but for the last 4 years I've been a lawyer.
But yeah, would you tell us a bit about what it's like being a lawyer in London?
So I think basically I would say the biggest thing about that job, which I think is probably the hardest thing about that job, is you have a complete lack of personal autonomy.
Yeah.
So you are never, your time is always on someone else's watch. So it could be 8 p.m. on a Wednesday, it could be midday on a Sunday, and you'll get an email saying, you got to do this, and you got to do this now. And then you're just thinking, well, I'm 3 pints deep in the pub watching the game, what am I supposed to do? But you just have to do it, it's quite hard. So you have this constant almost anxiety of like you're on call.
When you're working in a demanding career, like feeling like you don't own your own time is a big challenge. Yeah. And not everyone can understand or appreciate that. Like you touched on there how you were perpetually anxious to the point where it probably became your new normal. And you probably like lost your normal sense of reasoning.
I think for sure you lose the normal sense of reasoning. I did 6 months working as I cooked dinner once in 6 months. So on top of that, I'm someone who like to go to the gym and stay active. I couldn't do any of that.
It's a bit loaded because it's important context for the story we're about to dive into, because it's really important to understand, I guess, the state of mind that you were in like your working environment and the impact that it had like on your well-being. But you had an experience of, I'd call it financial violence.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, where you were effectively scammed out of your life savings.
The best way to do this, because in some ways it's good to go chronological,
yeah,
but in some ways it's kind of good to go between the present of what I thought was the present and then actually what was leading up to the scam that I hadn't even consciously realized because I was so busy.
Yeah. So
within the context of this, I'm in the midst of a deal. I haven't had a day off for 6 weeks. That's including my weekends. So I've just been working every day and I'm super, super busy. And I think it's lunchtime and I'm trying to get off the boots to get a prescription. And I see on my phone, there's like a Monzo active card check, and I think, what's that? Someone's using my phone somewhere, and I think, oh great, someone's got my details. I thought, I'll call the bank, but I'll just go to Boots first. Then I get this call in about 2 minutes, and it's Monzo. Oh, Monzo had called me, right? So I don't realize hackers can clone numbers. I mean, maybe I'm naive, but I didn't realize this. And they're telling me, oh, someone's used your phone. I'm like, oh, mate, thank you for calling, because I was about to call you, but this is great service. You're being very proactive here. And they said, oh, no, it's fine. Don't worry about it. We're having this huge spate of hackings going on right now. There's like this big, it's not just you. It's loads of people have been affected. And it's a serious issue. So we're having to call up all of our customers where this has happened to and basically try and get your money and protect it. And she's like, okay, well, what we have to do is we have to close your account. We have got to cancel your card. So don't worry about it. Now what we've got to do though is your money is at risk. So we have to move it. And I'm like, no. If there's one thing I know, you don't move money, right? If someone ever says to move money over the phone, it's a big no-no. I'm like, look, this sounds a bit suspicious to me. She's like, no, I understand, but this is like, this is a unique thing. This is very different. I said, okay, well, I need you to prove that you are really from Monzo. And so I said to her, could you send me something that basically, says who you are, that I can verify this by? And I think I said originally, could you send me an email? And she was like, I can't send you an email, but I'll send you a text. So she sends me this text and it all looks legit. And I'm thinking, this whole time I'm thinking this is odd, but she just has an answer for everything. I'm not gonna move my money. I'll just send it to my mum. She can look after it. No, you can't do that. If you send it to her, the hackers will follow the trail of your money. You're gonna put your mum's money at risk as well. I thought, no, I can't do that to my mum. Don't worry, I'll move my money to my Lloyd's account, but it's gonna be the same thing. They're gonna follow your money there. And then I kind of slipped up with that, because then she's like, do you have banking on your phone for your Lloyd's? And I was like, yeah, I do. She's like, well, that means that money's at risk. So you're gonna have to move that money as well. And I'm like, no. Like, let me call Lloyd. She's like, no. I'll call Lloyd's, right? She organised this meeting at Lloyd's to basically, and she asked like, well, you know, the nearest, so it'd be like going to Borough Lloyd's branch, and it'd be at 1:30 the next day. And I could go in and they're like, don't worry, the card's been cancelled. So I'm thinking, okay, well, thank you for doing that as well. I'm like, her name's Natalie. I'm like, Natalie, thank you. No, this is great. Even though I'm still thinking, look, this is all pretty weird, right? And so then I think the next kind of point after that, she's then saying, okay, well, this is what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to upgrade your account to a new account, which is why I'm cancelling your card. We're going to give you a new account. And I'm also thinking like, I'm too busy for this shit. I don't have time for this. I need to get back to work. And so she calls me back. She's like, I've just spoken to Lloyd's. It's fine. She even said, she then was like, I'll organise a meeting for you to go into Lloyd's tomorrow. And they'll cancel your Lloyd's card as well, but you can go in and get a new card and you can discuss what's been going on. She's then saying, okay, well, this is what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to upgrade your account to a new account, which is why I'm cancelling your card. We're going to give you a new account. But part of that means we're now going to have to move money, but we're going to have to move it to different things so that the hackers can't follow it. And I am thinking, okay, this is a bit odd, but she just answers everything. So I was working insurance law at the time, and I said to her, well, don't I have a certain amount of deposit? Like, you get a certain amount that's, you know, it's kind of insured by, a financial fraud protection scheme. And she basically explains why this doesn't apply in this scenario. And because I was working in insurance, I said, okay, well, who underwrites the scheme? She's like, instantly, Munich Re. And I'm thinking, well, I don't really know. I can't really check this, but that is an insurer. And then at the same time, I'm thinking of getting phone insurance. Without being too bait, I'm still trying to ask these questions to see, but I guess at the same time, she's just gonna be like, look, he's clearly suspicious, but I'll try and answer everything calmly. You know, who underwrites the phone insurance? AXA, and it was AXA. So I'm just like, she knows everything. How can this there's nothing that she's not just complete, and she's so calm. I genuinely think like if Natalie, you know, she's out there listening, wasted as a career criminal, she'll become like the next PM. Like at PMQs would be just unflappable. At this point, I'm like, okay, she's answering everything, and I do. Like I said, I'm just busy, so I'm like, let's just sort this shit out. So then she starts basically moving. So basically, then what she's done is she said, because my money is, under threat with Lloyd's, I need to move my money from Lloyd's. And she's like, but I've already spoken to Lloyd's, it's fine, right? And so then I start moving where my savings are stored in Lloyd's, and I move them into my Monzo. And then from that point, I then move.
So you've got two. So at this point, so you've got two accounts, which unsuspectingly have become compromised now by this hacker. So you've got your savings within your
bulk of them are in my Lloyd's because I've got them kept in an ISA basically. So the bulk is in the Lloyd's, and then I use my Monzo more as, I guess like with a lot of people, I'll transfer my money from my Lloyd's, that's where my salary will come in. I'll move it to my Monzo, and then I'll use the app to kind of track my budgeting. But I've obviously given away that I've got this Lloyd's account. And so she's then kind of using this, and what she's doing, and how smart is this? She doesn't know my Lloyd's details. Yeah. So she's completely manipulating me to move completely safe money into my Monzo, which is then she can fuck about with it and then take it elsewhere. So then I move across, and you get a certain limit a day, and I move it across, and we start doing these payments. And I still remember, so we do 2 big payments to personal accounts. One of the names was like Esther Macharia, I don't forget that.
Right, we're going to have to go a step back here. So you've now compromised 2 accounts, which is your savings, right? So your life savings, and you are transferring money. And at this point, because of her calm questioning, she had an answer for everything. She's convinced you to transfer your savings into an account that isn't yours now. So from your Monzo, are you moving it from your Monzo?
So moving it Lloyd's to my Monzo. From my Monzo, we're now moving it on.
Okay.
But what I'm essentially doing is I'm just sending my money to a Monzo account.
To a stranger.
That's all I'm doing, to a stranger. But she's saying, look, we've got to do different names. And as I'm doing it, Monzo's coming up with, are you sure you want to do this? Yeah. And I'm saying, Natalie, it's telling me, am I sure I want to do this? And she's like, no, yeah. She's like, ignore that. Like, we've got to do this. And it's always like, we've got to be quick about this, this. Like my money's going to just go like this. Yeah. And so then we do 2 pretty big payments to these personal accounts. And it's taken a while each time. And I don't know what systems they have in place, but it's not just me transferring that money. The money also gets debited from my account. So they've got some sort of software that's allowing them to kind of also take it from my account.
And at this point, when you're transferring your money to like a stranger's account, like what were you? Obviously, she's created like an urgency here.
Yeah.
Like, what are you thinking? Are you like,
Whole time I'm thinking this is weird, but I guess it's like a balance of.
I need to get back to work.
Well, it's sort of as well. This is weird, but every question I've asked, she's got an answer to, and she's got it like that. She's proved her identity to me by, firstly by the phone call and then by this text. So in my head, I'm just thinking like, she's got an answer for everything. And so because of that, and because of her like a calm demeanor, I'm just going to keep doing it. And at the same time, I'm so busy, I'm just thinking like, I just need to sort this out. I need to get back to work. So it's kind of a mixture of these things that are all coming together that are just keeping me just go along with it. But I was like, there's no point in me at any time that is relaxed by this or thinks, my money's safe. The whole time I'm just thinking this just feels weird.
Yeah.
But it's just a weird situation, and I guess I'm just gonna have to go with it because it makes, based on how she's been answering stuff, it just feels like she, I can't doubt her because she's not got anything wrong. So this goes on, I'm on the phone for like a few hours and she's on loudspeaker and I'm working.
Okay.
She's on loudspeaker and occasionally she's asking me stuff. So I'm not even paying attention at this point. And I think we must have been on the phone for 2 or 3 hours. We've siphoned off like a decent amount. And then she says, oh, my systems are down. We can't do it. We're gonna have to carry on tomorrow. And I'm like, but my money, like, it's not safe. And she's like, no, don't worry about it. Like it's going to be fine. Like I've done enough now where they're not gonna be able to get any money. What we can do is we'll move the rest tomorrow to your account. I'll call you at 9 a.m. and we can do the rest tomorrow. So I'm still thinking like, and I remember the last payment of that day was the Selfridges. And I don't know if you've ever had your card details taken, but people love to spend it at Selfridges. And that honestly, at that bit there, I was like, I know this is a scam. For some reason, it was just that payment that was like this light bulb moment of, I know that this is gone. So I thought, well, there's not a lot I can do right now about this. And what it is, I think I'll wait till tomorrow. And so tomorrow it's 9 a.m. and I don't get a call. I'm obviously like 8:59, I'm staring at my phone. I'm like, and I don't get a call. And then it's like 9:15 and I don't get a call. So I message the Monzo app and I'm like, aren't you guys supposed to call me at 9 o'clock? I've been waiting 50 minutes for this call. My money's in danger. Like, why? This is not a time to be like, late. And as soon as I send that message, I get the call from Natalie.
No way. By chance.
But this is just coincidence, right? Because I'm messaging actual Monzo and she doesn't work for Monzo. So then she calls me and she's like, oh, Tom, sorry I'm late. And I'm like a little bit arsey. I'm like, yeah, well, you're 50 minutes late. You said you'd call me at 9. Then she makes some sort of comment about, oh, now we've got to move your money here because it's still not safe. I'm like, well, how was it safe last night, but now it's not safe today? Like, what are you doing? Like, this is a terrible service. You're just stressing me out. I then get a message from Monzo. Tom, this is not us. We would never ask you to do this. Put the phone down right now. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to put the phone down right now because I want them to now believe that I don't know it's the scam. If there's any way I can get my money back, it might be somehow me delaying this. I don't know what they can do. If they can get in touch with someone, find out who they are through the calls. I'm going to try and get this to go on as long as possible. At this point, she's kind of getting more impatient with me. And she's saying, hey, well, we've got to move the money now. I said, no, Natalie, I need to call Lloyd's. I need to speak to them directly. She's like, don't worry. I'll transfer for you. I'll get them to call you. So I'm like, wow, how is she doing this? Like, I don't understand how they're doing this. And so she hangs up and I get a call and it's Lloyd's number.
Right.
And it's this guy and he's like, oh, hi, this is Jonathan from Lloyd's. Tom, I've just been talking to Natalie at Monzo. Just wanted to assure you that your money's fine and this is perfectly okay. And this, your account has been jeopardized, but Natalie, we discussed with Monzo and we're all kind of on the same team here. And so then I'm thinking, okay, right, well, I'll ask Jonathan some questions. So I said, Jonathan, what's your name? And he says, Jonathan Claude. And I'm thinking like, he's in a room, he's looked up like a kickboxer poster and he's like John Claude Van Damme. He thought, that's going to be my name. And I'm like, okay, how do you spell that? And so it's Claude. Okay, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna keep a note of this. I talked to him for about another 30 minutes and I'm asking him all the similar questions I do to Natalie. He's good, but he's not as good as Natalie. So then I basically, I said, can you prove it's you, Jonathan? I need some sort of proof. Can I have an email or something? He's like, and I kind of thought, I kind of knew that he would mess this text up. So I get the text through and it says it's similar to the one I got from Natalie. Claude is spelled C-L-U-A-D, Cluad. And I'm like, that's sloppy. So I'm like, oh, so Jonathan, how are you spelling your surname? And he spells it the way in the text. I was like, well, that's funny because 30 minutes ago it was spelled this other way. I was like, can't even remember your own name. And he was like, oh, no, that was just a mistake. I was like, which one is it then? And he's like, it's the one in the text. I think you're just having a sloppy day today or something, but you're not really convincing me. This doesn't really add up. I'm gonna put the phone down. He's like, no. And if you choose to hang up, the liability will be on you. And at this point I was a bit pissed off. I was like, no, it isn't. Why would it be my fault? So I then kind of put the phone down. And at this point I'm like, yeah, no, I'm screwed. Like my money's gone. This is 100% Jonathan Cload's messed it up. I can picture Natalie just being like, you idiot. I was on the phone with him for like 6 hours and you screwed this up in 30 minutes. And to provide context, this was the Royal Mail hacking scheme. Because what I had done, because I was busy a week before, I had responded to that text. I had a package coming. I put my Monzo details into that. That's how they had my details in the first place. But at no point did I put two and two together until after all of this. So then I call up Lloyd's to try and explain this is what's happened. And they're just like, we're not going to give you anything back. Like, okay, you've got to go to the police. You've got to talk to the police. You've got to do a kind of like a crime report. You've also got to do this various stuff. And I'm doing it all, but they're very ambiguous. I'm saying, yeah, but I am going to get my money back. They're like, oh, we're going to try, Tom. And I'm trying my best to sort of like, I guess like lawyer them a bit, get them to say something in writing that guarantees my cash back, but they're not, because they're being sensible about it. So I call up the police, I let the police know, I do this report, I give them all the details. So like I've realized I've just given away my life savings. I've been saving since, before, when I was in school, so when I'm a teenager, all towards, either this trip that I'm gonna do now or, to go towards a house, and it's just gone. And so I'm like, I call up my mum and I break down on the phone to my mum. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like I've just messed up so bad, mum. She's crying on the end and I'm just like, I just can't believe I've done this. I'm such an idiot. And then I stop talking to her. I call up my dad. I tell him, he's like, well, I guess you're not going traveling then. And I'm just like, there's a time, my dad is not the most emotionally intelligent person. But he was then like, okay, but this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna look online, we're gonna find ways, we're gonna do whatever we can to get this back. So he's very proactive. That's kind of his forte. I'm gonna loan you some money, you can do this. I've told other people, every single person is being so supportive and genuinely cares that by the time I actually go to bed that night, and I remember sitting in bed watching TV, I was like, I've lost all my money, but I'm happy because people actually care, and I'm quite surprised at how much people care about me. So I remember going to bed and being like, I'm okay, like it's fine. Obviously, I was just gutted because I felt like I genuinely thought in the space of, however many years it'd been, 10, 12 years of savings, 10 years, and then it was just gone. In that, I think I said to like my mum, I was like, I've just wasted, in the space of an hour, I've wasted what I've earned in 12 years. Like it's just gone. And I remember thinking like, you are so stupid. Yeah. And you are such an idiot. How could you possibly have done this? And then I was trying to convince myself, well, you could have sent more over and you didn't, and you kind of realized and you tried to act on it sooner. Then I thought, well, am I just rationalizing this? I've still lost the bulk of my money. So you're just a lot of confusing feelings, but yeah, mainly just thinking I'm an idiot. And just like, I can't believe I've done this. And I'm thinking like, well, this was my life plan. I was going to do another year and then I was going to take this year off. Well, now I'm just going to have to keep working. I can't take this year off. I don't have any money anymore. Well, I was going to try and buy a house in a few years. Well, I guess I'm not going to buy a house then. So in the space of sort of like half a day, I'm trying to restructure all my long-term life plans and what I'm going to do to actually kind of get myself back on my feet. So that's just a lot to try and take in. But at the same time, it almost doesn't feel real because it's just, you just think as this, and I was like looking at other people in the news and I'm thinking, they're in articles and I've lost more than them.
Yeah.
I was like, and they're like in the Guardian, they're on BBC News, and I'm thinking, oh God, do I do the same?
Yeah.
But then I don't want to put I don't want to be on the front page of the news. This guy here has lost all this.
So diving back into it now, you went to bed that evening.
So I go to bed having this weird level of inner peace.
Yeah, lost your life savings, but you went to...
So I go to bed and then I wake up the next day and I'm just sort of thinking like, I guess, where do we go from here?
And at this point, what had the banks told you? Like you'd lost...
Oh, Lloyd's are basically telling me that this is on you, mate. this is all on you. But with Monzo again, they were being super helpful. So if Monzo are watching this, like, shout out to Monzo. Midday and I'm working and then I get this ping on my phone and it's a refund from Monzo. Wow. And it's suddenly ding, 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 ding. All the payments come back. And I remember looking at my phone and it's probably like the closest feeling I'll ever get to like scoring a goal for England or something. I just get my phone and like stick it in the air and I'm just I'm screaming, like I'm just cheering so loud, like fist pumping, like dancing around the room, just like I'm just elated. And I kind of feel like what's just happened, right? And I remember I had a balcony, I went out on my balcony, I was just like looking at the world in this new light.
So you got everything back?
Everything back.
Even your Lloyd's money?
Well, this is the thing, because it had all gone through Monzo.
Yeah.
Monzo refunded everything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know how they decided that they would do that or whatever, but they did. But like, I was sending them like really personalized messages, like, you've saved my life. Like, let's say like the name was Kyle. I was like, Kyle, you've literally saved my life, you know. I was like, I was like, you deserve a raise, you know, like stuff like this. I just was so grateful. And then, I had sort of like this feeling of like, I've got all my money back, but now I also have realized how much everyone cares. I'm in a better position I was 24 hours ago. I just had to go through a pretty traumatic experience to get to that end point.
Yeah.
And then I remember thinking like, I'm not even embarrassed because I've got it back and I'm actually just so happy. Yeah, and then and I mean, I've told people at work and they're like, oh, that's really bad. Oh yeah, but what about this? That kind of sums up law sometimes. It's like, look, sometimes people do have time, but when they're busy themselves, even they don't have time to have that emotional kind of side of them. And so you just have to kind of power through. The numbers on the screen that built up over years were always just numbers on a screen. They were always intangible. So then when it all went and it was zero, it was still numbers on a screen. And then when it came back, it was still numbers on a screen. I was like, at no point did this ever feel real.
Yeah.
But it affected my emotions so much, and it was just numbers on a screen, right? So ever since then, my relationship with money, the value of money has definitely gone down in my mind. Before this, I would save and save and save, and because it was kind of drilled into me from a young age just to save. But then I wasn't really spending it. So when I started working, I still wasn't spending the money. It was just building up and building up. And then since that, I've just spent so much money. Last year, I just spent and I don't have this worry of, well, if I spend it, is that a bad thing? Should I not be saving more? Like these days, I can spend money freely and just be completely fine with it. Because in my mind, it's like, well, I may as well spend it now. Because what if something happens tomorrow and I lose it all again? Yeah. Now that I've got it, I may as well use it. So in some ways, it's made my relationship with money a lot better as well.
So I'm obviously, as a friend of yours, I'm very happy that there's a positive ending to this story. Yeah. Obviously, like not everyone is so lucky. Do you think there's any actions that you took that might have ended up in you getting your money back? I
think maybe just being really proactive, kind of straight away. And like with Monzo, I was just constantly messaging, please, 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 please.
That's amazing. Honestly, that is a crazy story. And thank you for sharing.
No problem.
Really appreciate it. Right.
Safe.
Thank you.